Adventure Land, beautiful out there today, February 28th, 2024. Tonight we're going to be whacking atheists. That's why I wear red, like the bullfighter. I know they don't see colors, okay? It's still fun to wear red Wednesday because I got about 20 red Hawaiian shirts, okay? Anyway, somebody gave them all to me. So February 28th, 2024. Tonight we're going to whack teacher's pet. I could not believe what I found on this one. Anyway, we'll get there in a minute. We're on a whole bunch of channels. We're going to try to emphasize the main, leave all the trolls on YouTube, okay? You guys stay there, okay? But you folks that really like the truth, we're going to make Facebook our main channel or TikTok or what else? Yeah, okay. We didn't get the pictures yet, but we're going to try to sell 2 of our side-by-sides. If you'd like to help us buy one of those, we're going to get another tractor, a bigger tractor. We found one. I went and looked at it today. So this is exactly what we need. We got $7,000 saved up for it, so we need about 28 altogether. If you got $21,000, you want to help, don't have to sell the side-by-side. So call me right away, 855-BIG-DINO, extension 3. Or call my wife, extension 1. She does handles the books. Okay, tonight, let's see, we're on TikTok, Brighton, they're all listed on drdino.com. It's an old-fashioned independent Baptist church where we are here in Lenox, Alabama, straight north of Pensacola, 70 miles. We think God ought to get the glory instead of the stupid evolution religion. I was able to buy 3 bales of hay today. Finally, it is scarce, okay? If you're coming from anywhere where they got hay, please bring us some. We need some. We get the round bales, which is kind of bad because the cows don't get a square meal, but if you can bring any kind of hay, we'll take it. Okay, February 28th, teacher's pet. If you want to help us to open for free, join our 777 club. See, I like what you're doing. I'm going to support you $1 a day, okay? $31 a month. Call 855-BIG-DINO, extension 1, if you want to get involved in that. It's all on Dr.Dino.com. Okay, let's see. There's our Genesis Baptist Church. I got to change that sign again. Whack an Atheist Wednesday is where an atheist sticks their head up and says something absolutely not true, and we whack them back down with real science. Real science. Knock them back down. Say, look, teach the truth, okay? We're not afraid of truth. Evolution is a lie. It's the dumbest religion in the history of the world. It's the most dangerous religion in the history of the world. That's what they put me in prison for. My video number 5, I talked about the dangers of evolution. Get the whole series for $50, 18 hours. Watch number 5. You'll see, wow, no wonder they put that guy in prison. Okay, whack-a-mole game. Object, wait till the mole sticks his head up and whack him back down. See how fast you can do it. Get through whack all the moles. Even children love the game, adults love it. You wait for an atheist to stick his head up with whack an atheist and say something stupid or silly. We whack him back down with real science. In Christian love, of course. Okay, let's see. Actually, I enjoy doing it. Okay, the winner tonight, Teacher's Pet. This is a show put on for kids. I need to, let's see, before I get to there, let me say Teacher's Pet. In this Teacher's Pet, she gives evidence for evolution. It's only 5 minutes long, 5 or 6 minutes. Now, I need to warn you, Teacher's Pet, okay? It's my duty to warn you because Ezekiel 3 and Ezekiel 33 give the same message. When I say to the wicked, thou shalt surely die, and thou givest him not warning, nor speakest to warn the wicked from his wicked way to save his life, the same wicked man shall die in his iniquity, but his blood will I require at thy hand. If I don't warn you, it'll be my fault. But you're teaching things that are going to destroy people's faith. Jesus said, whoso shall offend one of these little ones that believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck and he were drowned in the depth of the sea. It's in Matthew, Mark, and Luke. In the mouth of 3 witnesses, everything will be established. Anytime you see 3 Bible verses talk about the same subject, it's a real serious subject, okay? All right, let's go to right here and play a little bit, and we'll stop and give some of the explanation of how this is stupid, real stupid, okay?
There are 4 major categories of evidence for evolution. Fossil evidence.
Stop right there. Teacher's pet. No fossil on the planet can offer any evidence for evolution. When you find fossils in the dirt, I got some here, let's see. Oh, there we go. Okay, I got all kinds of fossils. We have a museum here loaded with fossils. Fossil trilobite, fossil fish. We have all kinds of fossils here. We like fossils. We have a museum, a science center, a theme park. Fossils, all they prove, they died. You cannot prove it had any children that lived. Any children that lived. You certainly can't prove the fossil, had whatever it was you found, had children that were different. No animal today can do that, you know. No animal on the planet has ever been observed to produce babies other than their own kind. Cows produce cows, dogs produce dogs. There simply are no exceptions. So for you guys to think a fossil could do it long ago and far away, when no animal today can do it, that's stupid. No fossils count as evidence for evolution. I'm sorry, that's not evidence for your theory. Fossils are actually great evidence of a flood, rapid burial, preserved, intact, articulated. They weren't scavenged and dragged around the world or around the ocean or around the woods. Billions of fossils are found. They are not evidence for evolution. They're evidence for a flood. But you Christians, listen to me. Your neighbor kids are being taught this stuff. And it's your job to get a little mission field right in your community and teach the kids the truth. You better give them some armor for when they go to public school and learn this garbage, because no fossils count. Give them something to understand. Fossils are evidence of the flood. How many animals died in the last 10 years, would you guess, in the world? Colonel Sanders killed a bunch himself, didn't he? Okay. There is no evidence of fossils forming today. None. Show me a fossil forming today under natural conditions. It just doesn't happen. It takes very special conditions, exactly like Noah's flood would do. Noah's flood would produce bazillions of tons of sediments all over the world containing bazillions of dead things, and they get preserved from the oxygen and they fossilize. We have petrified clams in the closed position. Petrified closed clams had to be buried alive and buried fast, just like Noah's flood would do. So no, I'm sorry, you are wrong, teacher's pet. Fossils are not evidence for evolution. Stop teaching that to kids. You're destroying some child's faith. Who knows how many, well, 107,000 people watch this video you produced. 107,000 people. You're going to answer to God for destroying their faith. I'm just trying to warn you, okay? Let's go on here. Let him place.
Anatomical evidence.
Wait. Anatomical evidence, because we look similar to other creatures, therefore we evolved? Stop and think for a minute, teacher's pet. Maybe there's anatomical similarities because we have the same designer. Do you even give kids that option to believe that? If you show the similarities of the bone structures of the wrist, of the radius and ulna in the whale's flipper, and in the human arm, and in the bat wing, do you tell them, now kids, this could be evidence of a common designer? Do you even think about telling them that? No, you're only going to use it as evidence for your stupid religion of evolution, aren't you? Kids, don't listen to it. It's evidence of a common designer. Go ahead, keep lying.
Embryological evidence.
I cannot believe you are using that. You are either way behind on your science or you're a liar. There is no evidence from embryology to support evolution. That was proven wrong in 1874. We'll get into that in a minute. Stop using that. None of these first three are evidence for evolution. None. Stop.
And biochemical evidence.
We'll get into that later on.
Let's look at fossil evidence first. Fossils are often used as evidence for evolution. They're the traces or remains of dead organisms that lived long ago.
You don't know that they lived long ago, okay? They're traces of organisms that died. Now that I'll agree with.
Sedimentary rock contains the most fossils and is formed from...
Correct. And it's formed from the flood of Noah. There's sedimentary rock all over the world. Finding fossils is not a problem. Finding fossils changing to something else is impossible. All you know is it died. I was supposed to Google today and get pictures of trash. What's it called in the ocean where it swirls around and they get trash islands? There are monster trash islands. See, the world is round and it spins, and I got it. We lost the whole world. Gee whiz. Okay. All right. And because of the Coriolis effect of the Earth, where the equator is going faster, the oceans tend to swirl this way in the northern hemisphere and this way in the southern hemisphere. And they end up, because they're swirling, because the Earth is spinning different speeds at different latitudes, the currents in the ocean, Coriolis currents, they are gathering trash islands in the middle. Huge islands of trash. During Noah's flood, there would be huge islands of dead animals floating around. Maybe that's why there are such giant fossil graveyards out in Montana and Nevada. Maybe that's where one of the swirling eddies were that deposited bazillions of dead things all at the same time. And maybe they're sorted a little bit based upon body density. based upon habitat, based upon the texture of the body. There's all kinds of things that could form, that could cause a differential sorting besides evolution. So I'm sorry, let me go back to her, put her back up there, brother. Sedimentary rock is from Noah's flood. You guys are claiming these layers of the earth are different ages, which are stupid geologic column. Stop and think. If the top layer is younger, how could it be younger? Where did it come from? Is it coming from outer space? If I shake this thing up, it'll make 10 or 15 or 20 layers in a few minutes. Are the layers different ages? No, they're all in here at the same time. Every speck of dirt on the planet is the same age, whether it's 6,000 or 6 trillion. How can you guys not understand? There is no geologic column. They made up that whole dumb idea in 1830, the idea that the top layer is younger. No, all the layers are the same age. All of them. We have petrified trees standing up, connecting all of them. Watch my videos before on polystrata fossils. Anyway, I want to get to something else she says here.
From mud, sand, silt, and other fine particles. To make a fossil, first the animal needs to die and be quickly buried under the mud or silt so that no other...
Whoa, kind of like Noah's flood would do when there's trillions of these fossils? You think this happens? Show me some happening today. Show me some.
Birds will be able to break down the dead animal. Over time, the minerals in the mud and silt will replace the tissue of the animal and will later reveal...
Over time, it can happen very quickly. In the laboratory, under pressure, it can happen in a few days. They can fossilize things. It doesn't take billions of years, that's for sure.
A mold or cast of the long dead organism.
No, it doesn't mean it was long dead. It has to be fossilized pretty quickly or it's going to rot, bones and all.
The law of superposition is that older layers are on the bottom and younger layers of rock are on top.
And
this allows us to relatively figure out the age of different organisms
I can see it here.
or fossils that we find in layers of rock.
Where to go? Okay, stop and think. That is just plain stupid. The older layers are on the bottom and the younger layers are on the top. Are these layers in here different ages? If I shuffle a deck of cards, is the top card younger? You guys don't get it. All those layers formed in 1 year, Noah's flood, the tide going up, down, every 6 hours, 12 and a half minutes. When it's uninterrupted with a water-covered planet, the tide would go up and down 200 feet. Hydraulic pumping would take effect where the water's pumped in and out of that giant bump when it gets bigger and smaller and bigger and smaller. Water's going sideways at whatever speed the Earth is turning at that latitude. Here in Lenox, Alabama, 31 degrees north, we're turning 886 miles an hour toward the east. North Pole turning 0. Equator turning 1,037.6, depending on your altitude and if it's high tide or low tide, okay? Who cares? All right. The tide going up and down is sucking water in and out. From the east, it's always pulling it in at the same speed the Earth is turning the other way because the moon holds that bump right there. The water going sideways at 900 or 1,000 miles an hour is what made all these layers. And you guys are claiming they're different ages. That's stupid, real stupid. I'll debate anybody on that. Okay, it's not true.
So an organism found below another organism would be older than the one on top.
That is also just plain crazy. Google experiments in stratification. There's a video made years ago by a French guy, I forget his name now. Got a name this big. That's why they lost the war. Just signing their name took too long and the Germans beat them. But anyway, watch that video, Experiments in Stratification from Colorado at the stratification laboratory there. Fossils, the top layer is not younger and the top fossil is not younger. Watch that video, please watch that video. And tell your students about it. You could say, students, there's really another option here. Maybe it was the sideways movement of the water that made all these layers in 1 year. Maybe Noah's flood story is true. Why don't you teach that in your public school? There's no law against teaching the Bible in public school. There's no law against teaching the creation in public school. There's a law against requiring it to be taught. You can't make it mandatory. They never said you couldn't do it. They just said it can't be mandatory. 2 states tried to make it mandatory. Those laws were struck down. The court said, you cannot make this mandatory. They never said you couldn't do it. We covered that on video number 4. Lies in the textbooks of my series. Okay.
So letter Z is older than letter X.
No, it's not.
Absolute dating places a numerical age range using radiometric dating, luminescence dating.
Let's take one at a time. I cover all of these. Radiometric dating, we cover on video number 7. All of the dating methods you're about to discuss involve the assumption that the decay rate has remained constant, which you cannot know. Matter of fact, we can prove it does not. The decay rate does not remain constant. There are things that can affect it: heat, temperature, radiation, etc. And you're assuming that you can know the initial content, and there's been no contamination over billions or millions of years. Let's see, luminescence dating. What they're trying to do, believe it or not, they get a crystal and they want to try to figure out when is the last time this thing had light shining on it. Where would you start for that? You should really read up on luminescence dating and see how many assumptions are involved in that and how many wild numbers they get. It's a really stupid way to date things, okay? Luminescence dating. What else? Oh, dendrochronology. Right here.
Dendrochronology.
That's the study of tree rings. Let's just talk about that for a minute here. Let's see, whack an atheist, tree rings. Oh, where did I put I left my notepad in the other trees. Let's see, 42. No, 42. One moment here, folks. Okay. Luminescence dating. Dating crystal rocks based upon the last time they saw the sunlight. Right. Read up on that, okay? Dendrochronology is the study of tree rings, okay? On our Science Center, come visit Dinosaur Adventure Land in Lenox, Alabama. You can see our Science Center on tree rings, okay? That's the oldest tree in the world right there, the Methuselah tree, okay? They say it's 4,600 years old. We have a piece of bristlecone pine in our museum, has 700 rings, okay? Let's see. The tree ring dating is not an exact science. Trees can produce more than one ring a year. Occasionally, trees produce more than one ring a year. If you have a wet spring, dry summer, wet fall, they're going to produce 2 rings. The tree rings are good times, bad times, good times, bad times, not summer, winter, okay? Evidence for multiple ring growth per year in bristlecone pine. Okay, creation.com, great website to get stuff on this. Multiple growth rings per year. Secular Web says it might interest you know trees go back at least 8,000 years without being disturbed by Noah's flood. Here's the article better. Charles Ferguson, University of Arizona, matched up overlapping tree rings in living and dead bristlecone pine. It might interest you to know, go back 8,000 years, he matched up overlapping tree rings in living and dead bristlecone pine. And he built a sequence back to 6,000 BC. I see. Turns out such things as rainfall, floods, glacial activity, atmospheric pressure, volcanic activity, even variations in nearby stream flows showed up in the rings. We could add disease and excessive activity by pests. He took different samples some from logs. These were not even from the same area. Overlapped them, said, oh, wow, look at that blue part. We had several rings close together. That must match this one from the dead tree we found 300 miles away. Oh, I see. In case you don't know, opposite sides of the same mountain get different amounts of rain. The windward side gets most of the rain, the leeward side does not. A tree growing on one side of one mountain is going to have a very different growth pattern to a tree growing on the other side of the same mountain. Tree rings can be affected by several things. Rain shadow, that's called, prevailing wind, rain patterns, different growth rates in trees growing near each other. If a tall one is growing over a little one, the tall one's going to grow faster because the little one doesn't get the sunlight. Then when the big one dies, now the little one shoots off. And they're right next to each other, and they'll have different growth patterns. Prevailing wind, rain patterns, different trees grow different rates. Disease in one area of the forest, like this one, cannot affect the trees right beside it. Part of it can be disease-free. Here, disease wiped out the whole center part of that, left the rest of them alone. Okay. Overshadow. A tree growing in the shadow of a bigger tree will have different growth rings than the big one will. Good soil versus bad soil. Same plants, planted same time, different kinds of soil. Look at that. One still going, one died just because of different soil. Wow. Has anybody noticed around here when we do all the landscaping that you can be in hard clay and move over 2 feet and be in good dirt? And then move over 5 feet and you get into sand? I mean, it's right next to each other, okay? Soil conditions can vary next door, causing different growth patterns. The General Sherman tree they thought was 5,000 to 6,000 years old. Turned out later, they said, oh, it's only got 2,000 rings. What happened here? 2,000-year-old General Sherman, estimated to be 2,000 years old. That makes it only a middle-aged giant sequoia, as other trees are believed to be 3,000 years old. General Grant moved up one place in the giant sequoia ranking when the Washington tree lost the hollow upper half of its trunk after a fire. Once thought to be 2,000 years old, recent estimates suggest General Grant trees closer to 1,600. What happened? 20% difference in age, just like that. In late spring and early spring, many trees can handle a week or two of flooding without long-term problems. However, tree species vary widely in flood tolerance. Now listen, just because Noah was in the ark for a year does not mean the whole world was covered in water for a year. Some parts of the world might have only been covered for a couple of weeks. If the crust of the earth is broken up like we know it is with the fault lines all over the place, the crust of the earth is broken up like an eggshell still today. And some of those, they're still moving, the cracks are. That's where the earthquakes and volcanoes are. If the crust of the earth was flexing around during Noah's flood, someplace might lift up, someplace else go down, then it's going to tilt back the other way. It can be out of water for a while and then back underwater. Trees can survive inundation for a while. It could be that a lot of trees that we have in the world, these really old trees, survived the flood. So you could get a tree that's, the Bible says the flood was 4,600 years ago. And you say, well, we found a tree that's 5,000 years old. Okay, maybe so. Maybe the tree got ripped out, floated around, and rerouted someplace else. How many have ever heard of transplanting trees? Anybody ever heard of that? Dig one out over here and put it over. Oh, no, that really works. Yeah, okay. Duh, okay. What's the oldest tree in the world? Until 2013, Methuselah, ancient bristlecone pine, was the oldest known non-clonal organism on Earth. Methuselah still stands, 2016, at the ripe old age of 48. Two other trees were discovered to be 5,000 years old. Well, 4,300-year-old bristlecone pine is Earth's oldest organism, but has little active tissue. Well, that would be the max, okay? And those things are a gnarled mess when they grow. It's really hard to count the rings. Not a simple matter, believe it or not. Oldest tree, 4,800. Well, again, you get 2 rings per year quite often, depending, it's a seasonal thing. And you could have had a tree survive the flood or get rerouted after the flood. Methuselah, there it is right there. Great Basin bristlecone pine has been deemed the oldest tree in existence, reaching an age of 5,000 years. Well, the Bible says the flood was 4,400 years ago. So that's well within range. Why don't we have a 10,000 or 20,000 or 2 billion year old tree someplace? Come on now. They say 370 million years ago, trees have been in existence for 370 million years. Wow, there's over 3 trillion mature trees in the world. That had to be a government project, counting those, okay? How could there be a tree with 5,000 rings? Well, trees can produce more than 1 ring a year. So to get 5,000 rings in 4,300 years is no problem, okay? Trees might have survived the flood. Tree might have been rerouted after the flood. Ripped out, moved around, rerouted, okay? Why there are no trees with 25,000 or 200,000 rings if the Earth is billions of years old? If 6,000 years was an inch, 1 million or 370 million would be a mile. They talk about these big numbers and your brain just shuts off. Wow, millions, billions, trillions. Folks, the Earth's only 6,000 years old. Then she talks about amino acid racemization dating. Let me get back to her talking here, okay? Let's see. Right here.
And amino acid dating. Some scientists prefer not.
See, amino acids are right-handed, left-handed, called the chirality. The amino acid racemization, what happens as they age, they switch over. And there's a whole great article about that on ICR.org. I'd recommend you go there, Institute for Creation Research, if you want to go down long, stay down deep, come up dry. This is fabulous for all the techno folks who want to learn the problems with amino acid racemization dating, okay? Except there's an air of uncertainty introduced by temperature, which would cause serious error in the results. Several other factors that would render amino acid racemization useless. You can read all about that in that article if you'd like. Okay, let's go on right here. There, okay. All right, we gotta get a better method of doing this, brother. There, okay.
not to call it absolute, but chronometric or calendar dating instead, because the word absolute makes it sound much more certain and precise than it really is.
That's for sure.
It's still an estimation, like the relative dating of rocks based on the law of superposition,
That's a
but
stupid
it has a number to it. For example, in dendrochronology, scientists count the rings in a tree to estimate the number of years that have gone by. Differences in growth through the seasons create a ring, and it generally takes 1 year, but there can be some variation. Transitional species are intermediate species, which may be in the fossil record or could be missing from the fossil record.
Hold it. A transitional species is missing from the fossil record, and how do you know that it existed? Do they stop and think about what they think about? How do you know any animal changed to something else? We don't see it today. How many animals have been born in the last 2 years, you think, in the world? Whole bunch. You know, our sheep up here, we had, what, 4 lambs born in the last couple of months? They're always baby lambs. Amazing. Speaking of which, I pay the feed bill for all these critters. We got way too many sheep and way too many cows. If you want to come to Dinosaur Adventure Land, we'll sell you one of our cows or sheep. Cheap. We'll cut down on the feed bill. Okay, please come by. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, lady.
It's proposed that there would be evidence of species that were in the middle evolution steps from one species to another.
It's supposed it would happen. Why don't we see it happening today? Show me any animal that's changing to something else, would you? You can't do it. It doesn't happen. God said 24 times in the first 7 chapters, the animals and plants would always bring forth after their kind. That's all anybody's ever seen. What did we find the other day? There's 320 varieties of roses.
Yeah.
Might have had a common ancestor called a rose, okay?
7,500 variations of apple trees.
7,500 kinds of apple trees. I bet they had a common ancestor. A frog. Yeah.
Archaeopteryx, pictured here, is used to provide a link between the theory that birds evolved from reptiles.
Okay, the theory that birds evolved from reptiles is real stupid, okay? Don't teach that to kids. That's not science. Let's see here. Birds evolved, dinosaurs turned to birds. Birds evolved from a group of meat-eating dinosaurs called theropods. This is absolute propaganda and stupid. See, dinosaurs shrank and became birds. Emily, you need your head examined if you believe that, okay? God said the fowl will always bring forth after their kind. See, the birds are made on day 5. That's before the reptiles. Reptiles didn't turn into birds. Everything about evolution is exactly opposite to the Bible. Just, I think Satan's leading all that charge to try to discredit the Bible. So the birds are made on day 5. Then he made the creeping things, the beast of the earth, everything that creeps on the earth on day 6. So reptiles would have been made on day 6. And then nobody's ever seen a reptile produce a non-reptile baby. It's never been seen. Nobody's ever seen a bird produce a non-bird baby. Same kind of bird. Dinosaurs alive as birds, scientist says. Oh, wow, it's got to be true. A scientist said it. Yes, I must have. Okay, don't beat me. All right, let's see. Scientists unveil missing link of bird. There's missing link, nothing. There's no chain. There's no connection. It's not like a link is missing. Breaking news, National Pornographic, October 99. Look at that. They found the missing link. There it is. Archaeopteryx. Wow. Dinosaur bird link smashed in a fossil flap. They found out it's a fraud. Wow. The unusual dinosaur fossil made mysterious journey from the hands of Chinese smugglers to the polished halls of National Pornographic in Washington. And like some curse from the mummy's tomb, Archaeopteryx, supposedly a bird-like creature with the tail of a meat-eating dinosaur, has brought to those who would possess it what may be remembered a modern paleontologist's greatest embarrassment. It now appears, after several months of suspicion and consternation, that the true missing link in the complex chain between dinosaurs and birds somehow sprouted its remarkable tail, not 120 million years ago, but only shortly before being smuggled out of China. Whether a deliberate fake or honest mistake, it's the tale of a tale that has children believing in feathered dinosaurs that never existed. prominent scientists calling each other names, and 2 respected science publications under assault. And just as the plot thickens, scientists in China have told USA Today they have discovered another faked tail. This one added by an entrepreneurial Chinese farmer to a flying pterosaur. That one appears to have fooled another group of scientists, as well as the British journal Nature. Stars Olson, curator of birds at Smithsonian, turned the spotlight on. Those involved with the scientific gaffe agree that Olson tried to warn officials at National Geographic. In a letter sent November 1st, the organization was headed for embarrassment if it endorsed the fossil. Both the fake fossils were intended to support the theory that birds evolved from dinosaurs. This is 2000, year 2000, 24 years ago. Okay, get up to speed, Peacher's pet. Okay, get my tongue tangled up, got my Merzwick's. Okay, both the fake fossils were intended to support the theory that birds evolved from dinosaurs. Now, Olson, who is an outspoken opponent of the theory, is taking advantage of the moment to renew an old debate on the origin of birds. The popular view, thanks to the most recently to the fictional Jurassic Park, that movie they made, is that birds evolved from dinosaurs. National Pornographic and Nature have co-published magazine articles and science papers. Oh, peer-reviewed, wow, okay. Museums, including the National American Museum of Natural History in New York, promote exhibits of the dinosaur origin of birds. Olson and a group of academic ornithologists have been arguing bitterly for years. Birds evolved independently of dinosaurs. Well, they're wrong about that too, okay? Not only did birds not evolve from dinosaurs, they did not evolve at all. They were created. Anyway, they believe dinosaurs and birds had a common ancestor that lived in trees, and dinosaurs were, after all, cold-blooded. So, excuse me. Okay, so I'm sorry, teacher's pet. You should not be teaching this. This was proven wrong 24 years ago. Don't teach dinosaurs turn to birds. It's stupid. Okay, you understand? Real stupid. Yeah, hurry up, get off, put a few feathers on him. You can do it. It's crazy to teach kids this kind of stuff. Dinosaurs turned to birds. Paleontologists tried to turn archaeopteryx into an earthbound feathered dinosaur, but it's not. It's a bird. It's a perching bird. No amount of paleobabble is going to change that. Back in 94, they knew that, okay? Archaeopteryx means ancient wing. They said, well, it's got claws on the wings. So, some birds today have claws on the wings. Hoatzin has claws on the wings. Swans, ibis, many birds have wing claws, okay? They say, well, it had teeth. Some birds today have teeth. Let's see, this hummingbird has 48 teeth in its mouth. Some birds have teeth, most don't, okay? Some of you have teeth and some don't, okay? What does that prove, okay? Like the Chinese dino bird, Archaeopteryx is fake. Honest disagreement as to whether it was a forgery was possible until 1986, when a definitive test was performed. X-ray resonance spectrograph at the British Museum fossil showed the material contained of the feather impressions differed significantly from the rest of the slab. Oh, wait. So the slab the bird was in and the slab the tail was in don't match. They were stuck together to fool somebody. And it worked, didn't it? The chemistry of this amorphous paste also differed from the crystalline rock in the famous fossil quarry in Germany where Archaeopteryx was supposedly found. Few responses have been made to this latest and probably conclusive evidence. Bird feathers evolved from the same scales that protected dinosaurs so well. Bird feathers are so different from scales. Now, they're both made of keratin, and that's where it stops. Fingernails are too, by the way, and turtle shells are. So that's a common design. Same designer made them, okay? At the morphological level, feathers are traditionally considered homologous with reptile scales. However, in development, morphogenesis, gene structure, protein shape, sequence, filament formation, structure, feathers are different. Clearly, feathers provide a unique and outstanding example of evolutionary novelty. The poor guy still believes in evolution, but he knows it wouldn't happen from scale. The bird's lungs are different than reptile lungs. Not just the feathers and scales, guys. How can Archaeopteryx be a missing link when birds, fully formed birds, were already present? Here they found a 130-year-old crow-sized bird, 130 million years old. Well, if you already got birds before Archaeopteryx is there, then it can't be a missing link, can it? Western Colorado, Brigham Young, that's a moron, came upon 140 million year old remains of what they're calling the oldest bird ever found. Well, that's before Archaeopteryx. Birds in a period in which much older than that which Archaeopteryx lived, said Yale University Ostrom, who positively identified the specimen. This is back in 1977. Why are you still teaching this, Archaeopteryx? Fossil remains of a bird that lived 142 to 137 million years ago, found in China. The oldest evidence of a beaked bird on Earth yet found. The Chinese bird, claimed as discoverers, probably lived in the Jurassic Cretaceous boundary, and there's no such thing as that. Prior to the arrival of these other ones, could not possibly have descended from them. So I'm sorry, you're mistaken. There is no evidence of birds coming from dinosaurs. Stop teaching something so dumb. You're destroying the faith of kids that are watching your videos. And that's my job to warn you. You don't have to heed the warning. But Jesus said you'd be better off with a millstone hanged about your neck and drowned in the sea than to offend the little ones that believe in him.
Now we're going to start looking at the anatomical evidence for evolution. Homologous structures help scientists find relatedness among species. There are anatomical structures in different species that originated by heredity from a structure in the most recent common ancestor of the species.
Well, that's pure baloney. It's true there are similarities. It's not true that they have a common ancestor. Why would you add that in there? You should have stopped right after you said, look at the similarities in these creatures. And that proves a common designer. The same guy designed them. Did you know Chevy produces cars and trucks with round tires? I've seen them. That's proof of something to somebody somewhere.
For example, if you look at the bone structure of a pterodactyl, a bat, and a bird, you'll see some basic similarities.
And what does that prove? To you, it proves a common ancestor. To me, it's proof that's a pretty cool design. I think the bird likes his wing, don't they? Yeah. I think probably the bat likes his arm. And I think maybe the pterodactyl, maybe he did. I don't know.
This suggests they had a common ancestor with a similar forearm structure.
It does no such thing. It suggests a common designer. Do you even present that as an idea to consider for your students that are following you? You give them one theory only, the dumbest theory of the bunch, and don't even give them anything. You're brainwashing them. That's not science. You're brainwashing.
Perhaps very long ago. But if you look at how they use their forearms for flight, they're very different. The pterodactyl has one long finger that spans a large section of the wing. The bat has a wing between its fingers, and the bird has feathers all along the forearm. These are analogous structures because even though they have closely related functions, they do not have a common ancestor for that function. Each of these species evolved their ability to fly from a different ancestral line.
There you are. You're assuming they evolved their ability to fly. Why can't you say, wow, it looks like they're designed? What good would half a wing do? What if the right wing evolved and the left one didn't? Now what? Huh? It is so dumb at every level. I wish you guys would understand how dumb your religion is and stop teaching it like it's part of science.
Vestigial structures are another piece of evidence because the structures seem to serve no function, but
There are no vestigial structures. You need what you got. If there were vestigial structures, that would be the opposite of evolution. That's losing, not gaining. Is that how we got everything? We kept losing things until we had it all? You should run for Congress. Those guys are trying to spend their way out of debt. See how that works.
resemble structures with functional roles in other organisms. An example that's commonly used is the human appendix. The appendix was thought to be a shrunken remain of the cecum that can be found in many kinds of herbivores. The idea is that it's a remnant of evolution yet to be truly removed. In 2013, however, scientists refuted the relationship between cecum size and appendix presence. The appendix is actually a housing complex for mutualistic bacteria that aid in digestion.
Then why are you teaching it's part of evidence for evolution? It's been long known it has a function. There are no vestigial structures. They just didn't know what they were. 150 years ago, they had a list of 180 vestigial organs. They thought you didn't need things. Now, if there's nothing left on the list that I'm aware of, there are no vestigial structures. A couple more minutes and we'll quit. This is driving me nuts here.
For many species, including humans. Embryology is the study of the development of embryos. The more closely related species would be similar in their earliest stages of development. These exaggerated drawings by Ernst Haeckel were used to show similarities between early stages of an embryo among different species, including
Well, if you know the drawings are exaggerated, why are you still using them to teach from? You don't show the real drawings, do you? Let's see. I've got them right here. Take me a minute. Right there. Open. Ernst Haeckel made those fake drawings, which you are still using in your teaching here. He made those fake drawings in 1869. It was proven that he lied in 1874. And he admitted his own university held a trial. Let's see, debates. I guess I want that one. Hang on. I should add this one ready. I'm sorry. It's been a busy day, believe it or not. Okay. There. No. Anyway, watch my video number 4. Okay. The real drawings. They're nothing similar to this. Dr. Richardson took actual photographs of these creatures that he claimed he was, let's see. I have it on here. Embryology. Anybody see it on that one? Vestigial structures, homology. This is my hyperlink page to all the stuff in this particular presentation. Embryology. Well, anyway, don't have it. Okay. So Haeckel's fake drawings should not be used to teach students and your teacher's pet, you know. You're trying to teach teachers how to teach evolution. Well, stop using lies to do it. If that's all you have are lies, well, then get a new theory.
Salamanders, pigs, and humans. And while they're not truly accurate, they were some of the first attempts at using embryology as evidence for evolution.
Okay, they were the first attempts at using embryology. Where has been the second one? This was disproven in 1874. Do you still think that's evidence for evolution? Why are you including this as evidence for evolution? It's not.
Today, the stages are studied at the same point in their evolution, unlike these images. Lastly, when we read DNA and amino acids to find a quantity...
It's late enough. Okay. I will debate you any time. Okay. Call 855 BIG-DINO, extension 4. That's you, right? Yep. You schedule a debate. Okay. And all you teachers' pets, all you folks who believe in evolution, I would like to get to 500 this year. I'm at 349. I've had 349 debates with atheists and evolutionists. I'd like to get to 500 this year and about 1,000 by the end of next year.
350 tomorrow at 7.
One at 7 o'clock tomorrow, number 350. Good. Book them, Dano. There is no, watch my lips. There is no evidence of any animal ever evolving into something else. God designed them, and he told them 24 times in the first 7 chapters, they will bring forth after their kind. That's all anybody has ever seen. That is science. To teach that they have a common ancestor is not science. It's propaganda. It's real stupid. Okay, questions real quick, then let's quit, brother. Have you heard the Genesis 1 is Moses recording a vision given to him on Mount Sinai? Haven't heard that. The whole Bible is inspired of God through different men, 40 different men on 3 different continents over 1,500 years, and God blended it together seamlessly. So how Moses got it, I don't know, but you're right, Moses did write it. God would have to reveal that stuff to him. There's no way he could have known. Ken, what made you realize you're wrong about pre-trib? Very interesting. Studying my Bible, and I was a hard sell. I read Rasmussen's book, we sell it, post-trib, pre-wrath rapture. I spoke at his church, Canoga Park, California, called him many times, researched it intently, read through Daniel about 30 times, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. We've been through this before. This chart is $10. It's got all the Bible verses on there about why I had to change. We're here for the tribulation. Tribulation is not the same as wrath. We're not here when the wrath of God falls. The wrath of God comes in the day of the Lord. It says so in about 30 different verses. They're on my chart. They're in my book I did on the topic. And my video series, Whoa, What on Earth is About to Happen? Get the book, Whoa, What on Earth is About to Happen? Get the whole thing. I wish we're here for the tribulation, and you better think about it and get ready. All you can do is get ready mentally. We're going to suffer. We're going to probably be killed for our faith. Most Christians are going to be killed. Just that's what's going to happen. You say, what do I do about it? Well, get close to God and win souls while you can. Man, okay. Speaking of flat Earth, I'm not speaking of flat Earth. We weren't speaking of flat Earth. Okay, next question. Kent, do you have a smoker for barbecue cow? We got a couple here that still smoke, but they're trying to quit. Okay. Why did God make cockroaches? Oh, those are tasty treats for chickens. Chicken food. That's why he made them. They love them. Yeah. Makes the eggs taste funny, but okay. Do you think we're in the tribulation right now? I think we are. I think it started. I don't know. It starts with a treaty to let Israel rebuild their temple. What was that 7-year treaty made last year? The year before? I don't know. We shall see. I'm going to keep busy serving God anyway, but I think we're probably in it. Okay? Okay. Centurion. As usual, putting the scientific smackdown on the atheist and evolutionists so hard, their common ancestors are begging for mercy.
That's all I got. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. See you tomorrow. Debate tomorrow?
Debate tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Gentleman Keith on biological evolution.
On biological evolution, tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. All you atheists, come on, let's book some more. You're real proud in the comment section where you're behind your keyboard, aren't you? Come on, get on screen. All right.